For 81 years, the official record said no pitcher in the Negro Leagues ever threw a documented perfect game against a Major League All-Star roster. But the men who ran barnstorming baseball in the 1940s made sure you'd never learn that one did, and then made sure the man who threw it stopped existing on paper. That's the story they tell. It isn't what happened. Someone made sure you'd never hear this. Here's what the records were rewritten to hide. In October 1943, Negro League teams and white Major League All-Stars played exhibition games across the country. Officially, these were just showcases. Unofficially, gamblers bet real money on them, and team owners controlled who pitched, who won, and what got written down afterward. One pitcher, appearing in box scores only as Rail, worked 4 of these games in 11 days. He struck out major leaguers who would go to the Hall of Fame. Then he vanished from every roster that mentioned him. The official story is simple. Barnstorming records were sloppy, kept by hand, half of them lost to fires, floods, and neglect. Negro League statistics weren't formally recognized as Major League caliber until December 2020, 77 years after Rail pitched. Historians call the gaps an accident of history. Bad paperwork. Nobody's fault. That's the first crack, because Rail isn't a surname that shows up anywhere else. Not in any Negro League contract, not in any team photo, not in any hometown paper. Researchers who have spent decades combing box scores found the same pattern every time: one dominant outing, then silence. No follow-up game, no injury report, no obituary. A pitcher who threw one of the most lopsided shutouts anyone in that ballpark had ever seen, and then simply stopped being written about, as if the scorer's pencil had been taken out of someone's hand. The obvious explanation is that Rail was a misspelling, a nickname, a clerical shortcut for a real player already in the record books. Historians tried that first. They matched his strikeout totals, his left-handed delivery, his height listed in one surviving program, against every known pitcher on both rosters that October. None of them fit. He wasn't a known player performing under a nickname. But that's not the part they buried. Barnstorming promoters in the 1940s ran their circuits like closed shops. They controlled which players crossed the color line to face major leaguers, and they profited enormously from gate receipts and side bets on those games. A pitcher who could shut down major league bats wasn't just an athlete. He was a liability to every promoter who didn't control him. If a player like that surfaced outside the sanctioned rosters, showing he could dominate the best hitters alive without a contract tying him to anyone, it threatened the entire arrangement that kept black players boxed out of the majors, while white owners profited off games marketed as exhibitions only. So teams protected their edge the same way they always had, by controlling the paper trail. Multiple accounts from surviving barnstorming players describe pitchers deliberately listed under false or partial names in box scores, specifically so rival scouts, rival promoters, and league officials couldn't trace a standout performance back to a player under someone else's private contract. It wasn't sloppiness. It was concealment, built into the system on purpose, one alias at a time. Rail wasn't a mistake. He was hidden by design by an owner who understood exactly what he had and refused to let anyone else find him. For 81 years, that owner's decision worked exactly as intended. No name, no contract record, no path for a researcher, a family member, or a historian to connect a legendary performance to a real human being. The record didn't fail him. It was built to erase him. What this changes is bigger than one forgotten shutout. It means the gaps in Negro League history aren't just the residue of neglect. Some of them were manufactured, deliberately, by the men who stood to lose money or leverage if the full picture ever got out. It means an unknown number of players who could have changed how baseball measured greatness were kept off the page on purpose, not by accident. And it means the 2020 decision to finally recognize Negro League stats as Major League caliber came decades too late to restore identities that were never allowed to survive in writing in the first place. Families never got to know what their fathers and grandfathers actually did on those mounds. The players paid for someone else's business decision with their place in history. Somewhere there's likely a real name attached to 4 games in October 1943, a birth certificate, a draft card, a gravestone that doesn't say pitcher. Researchers are still working the census records, the discharge papers, the county archives near where that barnstorming tour passed through. Whether anyone will ever match a face to that mound performance is still an open question. So the record still says rail, nothing more. And somewhere, a family may be living right now, without ever knowing what their grandfather actually did on that mound in October of 1943.